Hey guys, this is Kristen here with MailChimpHelpers.com, and today I'm going to tell you about groups, why they're useful, how to use them, and how to set them up. So first of all, groups are super useful in MailChimp because they keep your bill low. So if you have subscribers that are on more than one list, you're getting charged for them twice. But if you have them in more than one group, then you're only getting charged once. So groups basically act as categories in your list, or sublists, if you will. For example, this address is in 3 different groups at the same time. I'm only getting charged for it once. Good news. So, next thing is, what sort of groups could you make? You're going to want to use information that is changeable. Either you can decide who's in which group, or you can let the subscriber decide that, but you're not going to want to use information that MailChimp already collects, such as your sign-up source or the date that the address was added. So there's 2 basic ways that you can add and manage your groups. The first one is by going to Manage Contacts and clicking Groups from the drop-down. You can see that I already have some groups created here. And interested in learning about is my group category. This is just the title of the group. Now down here I have the actual group names. See, I have 4 groups, and it looks like I have a total of 17 contacts in them, but I only have 9 people in my list. That means some people are in more than one group. And if I want to switch the order of these, I can just click these 3 little dots and drag them to whichever position I please. So let's go ahead and check out one of these groups. Okay, so when I click on that, I'm brought to the addresses that are in that group. And if I want to, say, send a campaign straight from here, I can do that. If I want to create a segment out of this group, I can do that. If I just want to take a peek at it and then go back to my list, this little X over here is going to be super helpful. If I were to just come up here and click on this, it's still going to bring me back to the group that I'm looking at, which is sort of confusing if you don't realize that this X here is how you're getting out of this view. So, click on this X, that takes me straight back to my entire list. So now I'm going to go back into my groups and show you how to create your own group. Over here you can click Create Groups, and you have a couple of options. So you see these first 3 options allow your subscribers to choose their groups, and that is going to be visible on your sign-up form. This last option is going to be invisible on your sign-up form, and you will be in charge of placing people into their groups. So the difference between these top 3 choices is this first one is going to be checkboxes, and people can choose more than one group. That's what I had set up for my existing group I just showed you. In these other 2 options, they're basically going to function the same. It's just going to be 2 different views. So you can either have a drop-down or the radio buttons, which are these little bubbles that we're clicking in right now. So for the group I'm going to set up right now, I'm going to choose drop-down. And let's go ahead and set up, would you like to receive? I'm going to say MailChimp updates. You guys might be interested in receiving articles or maybe answers to questions. And I actually want more than 3 groups, so I can just click on Add Group here, and I can basically keep going. You can have a total of up to 60 groups in your list, and that is your total groups, not just for this group category, but for everything combined for that list. So I'm going to add a 4th one of video tutorials. Okay, that looks good to me. I'm going to go ahead and save this. And this shows that I was successful, and I have 2 options. I can either import a document into one of these groups. That means that I could, for example, have a CSV file that I download directly into the video tutorials group where everyone in that document automatically gets added to that group. But for right now, I'm just going to say I'm all set. So now it's showing up here, but there's nobody in the groups yet. So if I decide I want to import, I can do that right over here. If I decide I don't need one of these anymore, I can delete it straight from here. And I can also send a campaign directly from this view. But if I want to add people to the group, what I want to do, if I want to do that straight from my list, is actually go back to the list. And I know that this person, and this person have contacted me and told me they are super interested in these video tutorials. So I've put a little check mark next to them, and I'm going to go over here to Actions. And from this drop down, I'm going to choose Add to Group. Like to receive video tutorials. Confirm that. And now you see that they were added to this field column here, video tutorials. And I can do that from a whole list. If I wanted to get everybody, I could just go and select everybody and add them to the group. Okay, so that's the first way to create your group. And there's another way that you can do that as well, and that is going to be going to Sign Up Forms. If you go to General Forms, you're going to see not only the group that I had existing before I began this tutorial, but the one that we just created right here, Would You Like to Receive? And that is a visible option on the form right now. That's why you can see it here. But if I want to make it hidden, I can do that. But since I've already created it as visible in the other view, I'm not able to do that at this moment. But what I can do is I can add a new field here. So if you recall, the options are checkboxes, radio buttons, or drop-downs. Checkboxes, you can choose more than one. We've already looked at the drop-down, so let's go ahead and make one for the radio buttons. I'm going to do a field label as interested in personalized MailChimp help. And I can choose to have that a required field so that people must make a selection before they're able to submit this form. And I'll go ahead and do that because I'd like people to answer this question. And this is really important if you want to make this into a group. You're going to have to click here. It's going to explain to you what's happening. You are converting this into a group. I'm cool with this, so I'm going to go ahead and say I agree. And then I'm going to come down here and notice that there's a couple of predefined choices. So if your group happens to be something like, what state do you live in? Or, I don't know, what day do you prefer to receive emails? Anything like that. You could have some predefined choices here where it's just pre-populated. It's really useful for the states, so you don't have to go through and type in every single state or the countries. These are, already set up because all the options are there. But for this, I actually am asking basically a yes or no question. So I'm going to have the first option being yes, the second option being no, and I guess I'll do one more since it's required and some people might not know the answer. I'm going to do not sure. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save this field. And now I have my question here, and if somebody goes and fills out this form and answers it, they will show up on my list in the group that they've selected. So that's the basics of using groups in MailChimp. It's really really useful because if you want to go back into your campaign builder and you want to send a campaign to only people who are, yes, interested in MailChimp Help and interested in automations and list management, you could go ahead and make that selection with your segment in your campaign and send to that specific group of people. If you guys have any questions about how to set up your groups or how to manage them, feel free to stop by MailChimpHelpers.com and we'll try our best to get your questions answered for you. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good one.